Today we have a story of someone who has truly overcome unsurmountable odds. I am looking forward to her sharing her journey with each and one of you. Can you all help me welcome Cecila Carson to the stage? Welcome.
Hi.
So I'm glad to have you, and I know that these are trying times, and I understand that they can be very emotional. So just be yourself. It's okay. It really is okay. Because we're going to provide strength for each other as we continue to move forward. So I would love it if you could just tell a brief overview of your story with the audience.
Okay. I'm a victim of domestic violence. I'm a military veteran, and my husband also was a military veteran who suffered from combat PTSD. So together we raised 6 kids, and I just did the best that I could. When my husband retired and I got out, things got worse. I don't know, they say sometimes you can't adjust to the civilian world. And so he turned to alcohol. And we were together 12 years, married 9, and things just really got really bad. And when COVID happened, and it's just like we were all in the same house, one day it just got
It's okay. It's all right. You know, one of the things that is so hard today, and you know, my father was in the military. Let me start off by saying first, thank you for your service and your sacrifice. I don't think we do enough for our veterans when we begin to talk about all of the things that they have to face, the things that they have to go through, the sacrifices that they have to make. So if no one else says it to you, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Because you allowed us to live, you know, while you were taking care of our country. Now, with that said, I think it's also a shame that we are at the point in our country that we don't help our veterans as much as we should. There is such a cry for help. I know personally, I have veterans all in my family. I have one that needs help now. But we just don't lend that helping hand. So I think it's important for the audience to understand that the basis of all of this that we're talking about, when we start to talk about illness, we start to talk about mental health, we start to talk about sacrifices that people are making and the challenges that they're going through. You know, there's a certain amount that we owe to them, and there's a certain amount we should be doing. So if there's somebody out there that you can reach out to help, that you see is struggling, do so. Because that PTSD is no joke. And what they face is no joke. Right. So as you talk about, so you went through COVID.
Right.
You were all in the household together, and
Right.
things got really bad
Right.
in terms of moving forward.
Right.
While you were in the military, was it different behavior, or did things start out okay? Did this happen while you were in the military?
Yes, while we were in the military, yes. But you know, that's when we actually diagnosed that he had PTSD. You know, we had to figure out what it was. And so then it was, babe, I'm going to get help. Babe, I promise I'm going to get help. And I believed him, and I encouraged him, and I supported him, believing that that's what he was going to do. And he tried, but you know, he would start, he would stop, and then he would go through this phase of, I don't have a problem, you're the problem. And then it just started taking a toll on me. I actually gained 100 pounds. And then he started attacking me, you know, my physical appearance. You know, well, I drink because you're not attractive, and just, you know, doing all the other kind of things. But the last time that he actually, the second to the last time that he attacked me, he almost killed me. And the only person in the house at the time was my 5-year-old, our baby, together. And she woke up and she took a chair and she just started beating him in his back. And she said, "Get off mommy." And I saw my 5-year-old just looking at me, and I just knew that I could not let my daughters think that this was okay, because it's not, you know. And so he ran into the basement. We didn't see him for like a couple of days because he would have this thing where he would just disappear and hide from the family. So we wouldn't see him, you know. And he came upstairs one day and he's like, "Who did that to your face?" My face was so messed up, I couldn't even see. Um,
Uh-huh.
the doctors were like adamant about I had to go like every other week to get my face looked at, LASIK surgery, like all kind of stuff. And I didn't tell the police. One of the neighbors saw me, like I would always wear my hair and wear glasses and a whole bunch of makeup. And they did a health and welfare check at the house. And so the police were like, "Hey," and I just remember that being my breaking point, that they gave me a card and they said, "Listen, if we come here again, your kids are going to go to social services and you're going to lose your kids. And we know that your husband's sick and he has PTSD. Either get him in the VA or get him in a treatment facility, or we're going to take your kids." And I was like, I have nowhere to go, you know, and I have nobody. I live in Birmingham. I'm from Georgia, so you know he alienated me from my family, and you know I had nowhere to go. And I was like, "Well, where do I go?" And they told me, "You probably have to go to a shelter." And I was just like, "Oh my God!" Like that was so painful. And I still didn't leave. I just came up with this plan that, okay, I could sneak and save some money, things like that. And I tried, but then, you know, it's kind of like it doesn't always work out how you think it's going to work out.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to take a station break. When we come back, we're going to continue to understand some of those trials and tribulations and how you work through them. We'll be right back.
Every story has a hidden element that is not often shared. Hidden Stories, Healed Now, with host Vicki Wright Hamilton, seeks to share the hidden gems in real-life experiences. Our guests are ordinary people sharing their stories of overcoming insurmountable odds while providing hope and inspiration.
When I was in college, I had a college professor to tell me I would never, ever make it in technology. He told me that I needed to change my career, all because I took a test and got a D after studying so very hard. I knew at that point that I had to learn the game of life and survival. How did I do that? I really put on my game face so that they never knew what to expect, when, where, or how. See, life has all of its journeys and obstacles. We all have a story to tell, and we have many different paths that we take. My journey to this moment has not been easy. You have to play the game, play to win, and you win by wearing your game face. Welcome back. So they told you would have to go to a shelter, but that didn't work
No, I just could not see emotionally putting me and my kids in a shelter, and I don't have very much family. And I will say on my journey, the people that you thought would help you, they don't. And the family that you think you have, you don't. And the friends that you think you have, you don't. And so for me, like, it was so amazing to like literally, I can tell you I hit rock bottom. And so like for me, it was people that God just put back in my life that I hadn't talked to in like 20 years or 15 years. And so it just really shocked me. Like, you know, it's like, oh my God, this is Deborah. Like and she came from Texas, you know, to take care of me. And then it's like, I have another friend and she lives in Huntsville and she came and took care of me. And it's just like, God sends angels to help you. So I didn't really have to do it alone. And I have, you know, some people at work. Like I have this lady that's a work mom and she prays for me every day. Even to this day, she still prays for me. I can show you my phone. She sends me scriptures every morning and it's just amazing. And I had this one friend that just came back into my life after 15 years and talk every day. and just encourage me and support me, because I tell you, I hit rock bottom. I was abused every kind of form, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. Like, it's like he knew I was trying to leave, so he started hiding money, taking money from me, and I felt like I was suffocating and I lost myself. I would look in the mirror and not like the person looking back at me, and it was awful. It was really awful. And honestly, like, I got tattoos, faith, just to remind myself, like, look down, like, you are loved, and you're enough, and just stay focused on your faith and your journey. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. My story did end a little drastic. I was not with my husband, but he actually wound up dying. He had a heart attack. Um, he actually died of PTSD and a heart attack. And it's crazy because I tried to save him. Like, anybody that knows us know, I would call friends, I would call military friends, and even family, and I would beg, please, maybe if you talk to him, he'll go get some help. And nobody would help me. And so in April of this year, he actually died.
Mm, mm, mm. And facing all of this, and especially feeling alone, trying to raise children and still take care of the kids, right? Because you still have kids at home,
Yep.
right? And trying to take care of the kids and
Right.
move forward,
Right.
and then their father passes.
Right.
And that just adds another dynamic on top of everything that you have already faced.
Right.
I want to go back to a minute where you said that, and I so relate to, you think people are going to be there and they're not. That is a hard pill to swallow.
Yes.
But to not have family either,
Right.
I can't even begin to imagine. I don't know what I would do without my close family. Maybe a few of us, but
Right.
we are all very, very close.
Right.
I don't know what I would do without them. But when your friends came to help you and they began to be there for you, did you begin to change your feelings that people will come to help?
Yeah, like the military, we kind of, build a strong bond. And so some of us, like, we've been, we're always there. We may lose touch, but the ones that are genuine, we always, come back together. But when you're so far, it's so hard, it's just so hard. And so to this day, like, they still come. I mean, I was so when my husband and I filed a restraining order, he would call me in the middle of the night and tell me he was coming to kill me. Like, he would still call me, he would still, hunt me, and I called the police and they said, well, you can't prove it because it came from a different number. And I lived in fear for so long, even being separated. I would go to the store and just be so afraid that I was going to run into him. I did run into him one day, and I had a nervous breakdown on the highway, and it's just, he had my car repossessed, he cleaned out the bank account, he did any and everything that he could to me. And he told me, when I saw him one-on-one, he said, I'm going to fight you. You're going to go broke, but you're not going to win. Like, he just didn't want me to leave, but I had to. Like, I just got into my mind. It's like, God, I trust you. Like, I don't know how this is going to end, but I trust you. And even now, with the aftermath, because we were still in court and legally, he changed everything over. He left everything to his mom. I literally got nothing, God is still faithful. I still wake up every day like, I have my life. I have my kids. I have my health. I have my strength. Because I was in the hospital literally like every other week. It was so bad that one time the ER doctor said, ma'am, let me pray for you. And because they kind of knew my story, and he said, listen, you're going to have a stroke. You're always here every week that you're probably going to have a stroke or something worse. We need you to get it together. And that's when I started calling on friends and the little family that I did trust, But it's not an easy journey. I can't tell anybody that it's an easy journey. But I could tell you that if you really just devote yourself to wanting to be free, you will be free.
And it's that manifestation of being able to say, this is what I want, having those positive vibes and
Right.
moving forward. I do believe that through every experience, we learn one or two things that could potentially help somebody else as we move forward.
Right.
We're going to take a station break, and when we come back, I would love for you to be able to share anything with anyone who feels, I have no choice, I'm lost, I don't know what to do, I don't have family, I'm not having friends, just anything to help them to get over that hump too. And we'll also see if we have a question or comment from the audience. We'll be right back.
Every story has a hidden element that is not often shared. Hidden Stories, Healed Now, with host Vicki Wright Hamilton, seeks to share the hidden gems in real-life experiences. Our guests are ordinary people sharing their stories of overcoming insurmountable odds while providing hope and inspiration.
When I was in college, I had a college professor to tell me I would never, ever make it in technology. He told me that I needed to change my career, all because I took a test and got a D after studying so very hard. I knew at that point that I had to learn the game of life and survival. How did I do that? I really put on my game face so that they never knew what to expect, when, where, or how. See, life has all of its journeys and obstacles. We all have a story to tell, and we have many different paths that we take. My journey to this moment has not been easy. You have to play the game, play to win, and you win by wearing your game face. Welcome back. You know, Cecilia, you've gone through all the way through the history of, it's almost like my abuser is now gone. He's not here, but you have the aftermath of the emotions of all of that with your children too,
Right.
in terms of trying to deal and move forward. You know, we all face adversity in life, and through adversity comes lessons that we learn. If someone is in a similar situation, what are the top one or two things that you would tell them to do to help themselves to move forward?
Always keep your faith. That's why I tattooed it on myself.
Yes, your faith. Yes, Lord, your faith.
I actually just turned my closet into a prayer room, and I would
Yes.
cry at 3 o'clock in the morning and just ask God for so much help, because you never want to see your kids to see you in the pain that you're in and the trauma that you're in. You know, when dad's gone and you went from 2 incomes to one, and you're just trying to smile and say, hey, you're still going to college. Hey, you still can go to prom. Hey, you still can play sports. Because now that's all falling on me. And I don't know how I did it, but God is good. And I do it. If we have overtime at my job, like I work every hour we have, and I work 6 days a week. I would be at work today, but I wanted to tell my testimony, and so God is good. Like, I haven't missed a beat yet, and I have some amazing people in my life.
You know, it's interesting, and what that says to me is it's important for all of us. You know, put those people in your close-knit circle, but hold on to them forever. Because it's in those times of need that we have to go to that close-knit circle to be able to help one another. And everybody on this earth needs somebody at some point in time.
Right.
We don't get through this alone, because that's not how it was intended.
No.
Right?
Right.
We don't get through this alone. So, you know, first of all, I appreciate you sharing your story and your testimony. And as a parent dealing with your children, is there one thing you could tell a parent to help their children to cope and deal, especially after a death?
You just have to be honest. You have to pray. You have to put them in counseling. You know, she's 8 now, and she was 7 when he passed, and I had to put her in counseling. You know, you start with play therapy, and then I have an 18-year-old daughter who's headed to college. Her senior year was traumatizing, and I had to put her in counseling. You just have to really you have to embrace the raw, and you have to be honest with your kids.
And she said something very important, therapy. It is not a bad word. It's not something that we should run from. Therapy is there to help us to cope, to develop, and to move forward. And that's a big step, you know, in terms of putting our children in therapy. But it's one of the best gifts you could give them,
Right.
along with no other than the number one of prayer,
Yes.
as we know,
Yes.
in terms of moving forward.
Yes.
Let's see if we have a question or a comment from the audience.
All right. Well, Cecilia, thank you for sharing your story. And first of all, comment is that you are loved.
Thank you.
You have a community that's praying for you.
Thank you.
So, question would be the self-love that you have for yourself and that you maintain through this. Can you share a little bit about how you maintain and kept that self-love of yourself, of your faith, and for your family?
So to be honest, I didn't maintain it. I lost it. I lost every part of me. And you just hit a wall one day and you just say, you know what, I deserve more. And honestly, just looking at I have, sons, but I have two daughters. And it's different when you want to, give your daughters an image to look up to emulate one day. And I had to really realize that they emulate me and I have to do this. And so I had to put myself in therapy. I'm still in therapy. I actually increased my therapy to twice a week because I have a trauma therapist and then I have a therapist for grief. And I had to just find my way. And so with the self-love, I had to build that back. I went to the gym. I actually just lost 60 pounds and got a mommy makeover for myself. And I had to build my self-love back. And then I had to let my daughter see me build myself back up, because you can let your kids see you break yourself back down, but it's very important for you to also let them see you build yourself back up. It may take a long time, that's okay, but you're doing it. And so that's where I'm at. So I'm still learning to love me, and I look in the mirror. Now, I used to didn't look in the mirror. I would brush my teeth and look down. I would brush my hair and look away. Like, I was so afraid because my husband, I have videos and tapes on my phone, just to remind me of how he used to talk to me and abuse me. He would text me in the house and say, "You're ugly, I don't like you the way you look," and hurt me every day. And I kept those just to never go backwards, And so self-love is something that you just have to constantly build. And so that's where I'm at, is building it back.
Well, we're praying for you.
Thank you.
You talk about sons and daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you want to be an image for your daughters,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Right.
How are you helping your sons? How are they coping and dealing, knowing what actually occurred?
So because of the whole separation and everything, my stepkids no longer talk to me. And that's beyond my control. I give it to God. I have a son that's biologically, he's also affected, because you got to understand, like, when we got together, my son was 8 years old, my daughter was 6 years old. So they consider him their, stepdad. We didn't use the word step, it was dad. And so they have a hard time, but I talk to my son as well, and this is not okay. This is not how you treat a woman or your girlfriend or anything. We just had this conversation the other day, just reminders, like, this is not okay. And even if a person, we are military, so it was combat, PTSD related, but it doesn't matter. People have mental illnesses. It's just not okay. People have to get help for things that they've been through, because you're pouring it out on other people. None of it is excusable and none of it's okay.
Well, Cecilia, as we've said, you got prayers coming from all over.
I need them.
But God's not through with you yet.
He's not. No.
And the blessings have only just begun.
Yes.
Can you all join me in thanking my guests today?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Hidden Stories Healed Now. As you can see, people are overcoming unsurmountable odds.